Hello, everybody.
No.
Oh, Don.
I hope everybody's doing well. See kind of group we get here today. I know Sid is on his way. We're going to talk a little bit about Flash and some stuff about Flash that I think people want to know. One of the things that that we know is that clients in the food industry are starting to gravitate towards flash lit food over naturally lit food. Now it's not, it's not a huge rush, but it is real. It's there. Clients are telling my mentees that they are really liking some kind of new lighting and stuff that can be done with flash, and so it's really going to be a blast. So talk a little bit about it. Before we get going, I see some new names out there. That's really cool. I see Bob and Wayne and Beth. And wow, good. Love to have good new names in the group. Eleanor, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you, Don.
Good. Are you still shooting for that client up north, or have they regained shooting again?
No, they haven't. I've been doing some real estate for a company called RealPage, who do. They have information. They have systems for managed shared family developments. You know, where you have apartments with 300 units. Doing some work with them, and I'm really interested in food photography right now because we're talking to a few wine clients. So wine and food go very well.
Yep. Wine is kind of a hybrid between food and product.
Yeah.
So often we end up shooting bottles and packaging.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, where is Sid? Anyway, I got to do an introduction. I have to do an introduction. I've not been doing that lately, and it's kind of boring. My name is Don Giannatti. I do Project 52, prosystem.com, and I do lighting-essentials.com. And we are doing this thing every Friday at 1 p.m. called Photo Talk, and it's with myself and a photographer on the East Coast in New Hampshire named Sid Caesar. And we do this, and we just basically talk about everything from product to lighting to people to all kinds of things. And it's just all about photography. We run about an hour. I see Carmen is here. That's great. Chris is here. Fantastic. All right, before we get going, are there any questions about flash or strobe lighting that you're dying to ask? Some of you may know a lot about Rob. Wow, that was terrible. Bob Royer just went from the Taj Mahal to a small bedroom like mine. Man, that must, stocks didn't come in, Bob?
No, COVID destroyed my financial situation. I had to move down.
Well, we're sorry. We're just sorry to hear that, Bob. All right. Any questions from anybody concerning flash or strobe before we get going, so we can know for sure we're going to answer the questions?
Would the addition of a neutral density filter be appropriate?
The neutral density filter is global. So
No, but I meant in this discussion, like about flash.
For about flash, absolutely, but it's global.
Okay.
It cuts everything down.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to like understand. Well, why do people use? Does your flash still has to come in at like gajungus because you?
So if you have a very powerful flash, let's say you're outside, you have a very powerful flash, you're going to have to move it closer to your subject to make up for that neutral density filter, because the neutral density filter is going to be global. It's going to do everything that's ambient and everything from the flash.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yep.
I was like, in my mind was thinking, well, yeah, I'm knocking down the ambient, but I'm also knocking down the flash. So I've
Yes.
got to have like I can't just go by with my little speed light,
Nope.
you know?
Nope.
I've got to
Nope.
have like, all right.
Yeah, you gotta have something. Yeah, I gotta have something bigger than an Amazon Basics speed light. That's absolutely.
Yeah. I figured that. Okay.
Even though, by the way, those are really cool for only $24. Nice lights.
Stop that with the affiliate link.
And there's my compatriot Sid Caesar. Sid, how are you doing today?
Good. How's everybody doing today?
Are you working more? Getting some more work? Things picking up?
It's like our city just became a hot spot. So everybody, they're all sort of being passive and shutting down again. And it's coming in and out. You know, I've got quotes going out and I got a couple of small things lined up. One cool thing that we've been working on is every year we do this art walk thing, the citywide art walk, where it's like an open studios thing, and there's maps. And
Yeah.
people can so this year we're doing everything virtually, and so I am actually going to be the virtual host or the MC, where I introduce each artist that's going to be interviewed virtually and all that kind of stuff. So I was in the public access television station for the last few days doing all my little intros and outros, and that's kind of cool. Gets a little extra notice. You know, around
Yeah.
the city and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, good luck to all you guys doing it virtually like that.
Yeah. First year, so it'll be interesting. And it's going to be, whereas the art walk is usually just 2 days, we've tied this in with a different art event. So it's actually going to be the whole week. So we have programming for the whole week. And we've got about 25 artists where we've done extensive, like 30-minute interviews. And then there's a kids section, and it's going to be kind of nice. The local public access place is doing a really nice job sort of spacing everything out over the week, and it should be pretty cool.
Yeah, we're going to see some more of that, a lot more of that. Absolutely. Even after things go back to somewhat normal, we'll still see a lot of that.
Yeah. I miss going to the movies. I'm a movieaholic, so it's just like I haven't been to the theater since February. So that's a little like, I want to go see movies.
Well, we're different there. I never go to the movies.
No,
I don't even particularly care for movies.
oh,
It's a few I like out there. I mean, you know, who doesn't like the Ninja Turtles? I mean, come on. And yeah, it's gonna be a while, but they're setting up here in Phoenix to open a bunch of theaters, and then all of a sudden Regal went out of business. They just went out of business.
Yeah, they shut down for
Regal Cinema?
Yeah.
all Regals. Yeah, for
All Regals.
Whoa.
They're not. I read two articles, one day apart. The first article said it was going to be temporary, and the second article said, "Nah, we're gone."
Oh no!
Holy crap. I mean, they've been around like
Yeah.
forever.
615 screens, I think, something like
That's
that.
crazy.
And they're privately owned. It's like McDonald's. Some of them are corporate owned and some of them are privately owned.
I believe they were like franchise, but the whole thing was
Yeah.
based on this movie that didn't come out.
Yeah, the Bond movie.
The Bond movie. Their whole year was based on the Bond movie,
Isn't that crazy?
and they moved it back. So every day I wake up and I think, oh, this COVID thing is really mashing up my business. I'm reminded that it's mashed up a lot of other businesses worse.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's talk a little bit about Flash. I know Sid uses Flash a lot, as do I. I love natural light, so this is not going to be anything of bashing natural light in favor of strobes. So we're not going there. It's as, we're happy if you use strobes. We're happy if you don't. We just love taking pictures. But I prepared something here, Sid. Let's get it up here. And we were talking with we were talking with Eleanor about Flash Sync.
Mhm.
Eleanor, you asked a question about Flash Sync, right?
Yeah, it was it was mostly a question about when I watched Andrew, I can't pronounce his last name.
Giovanni.
When I watched his videos, and he does daylight and he does also strobe, but he maintains the 1/125 shutter speed for both natural and strobe. And he uses a Canon 5D, and I checked the sync speed is 1/200.
Yeah.
So I was just interested in your
Well,
thoughts.
it becomes a matter of choice because and his studio, how much ambient light is in his studio, I don't know.
Talks about his studio. It's in New York. He has a southwest window, and then he also has cinema curtains on the blackout side. So he has a lot of nice daylight.
Okay. And the daylight can and cannot be an issue with the exposure. We're going to start down at the bottom here, go up. This is the set. This is the set that I'm using. Just a speed light, a little beauty dish with a sock on it, a white card, and an apple. The picture of the apple without the strobe going off is f8 at a 30th of a second. That's what it looks like. This is no strobe. Okay, so then I'm going to go back down here and I'm going to go to, this is f8 at a 30th of a power with the strobe at 1/4 power, a 30th of a second with the strobe at 1/4 power at f8. So it's the same exposure that we did earlier. You can see the tile pretty much matches. And I wanted to make sure that I had that exposure because this is with the strobe on, this is with the strobe off. So when I'm at the exposure for the ambient, the strobe doesn't do much except clean up the apple, right? It didn't change the background or the surface. Now I've got a white card over here, so it's giving us fill. But here's interesting, if I go to 1/15th power, we just made the background brighter and the apple got just slightly brighter because at this point, the ambient is brighter than my exposure. Do you follow, Eleanor? The
Yes.
exposure is 1/30th. We're at 1/15th, so it's brighter. The strobe is still going off, so the strobe is mixing with a little bit of ambient to make the apple brighter. We'll go back to 30th, but when we go to a 60th, the background gets darker, but look, the apple just doesn't change because the apple's being lit by the strobe. The background of my front porch is being lit by the ambient. If we go to 125th of a second, the apple still looks pretty much like it did at a 60th. It's the strobe has not moved. I have not changed the power, but the ambient gets cut down. And if I go up to 2/50th, which is faster than my 6D will sync, we got the little shutter curtain coming back in here. But now we've almost made the background. The porch is now almost black because there's not enough exposure in the ambient at 120 at 1/250th at f8 to record the ambient. But the power of the strobe remains the same. Power and distance remains the same. So this becomes your choice as a photographer. What do you want to do with that ambient light? Do you want to have it blend in? Or do you want to kill it? And by the way, for those of you who know, we all know about the black stripe of death here, right?
Oh yeah.
You know, on a 5D Mark II or a 6D or a Nikon, whatever, you still have plenty of room to shoot a job, guys, up there. If you need that one more stop, you got plenty of room. I think at 1/350th it's almost cut in half, but you know, still, if you need a little bit, you got a lot of pixels to play with. So don't let that stop you. Just let it be a feature, a controlling feature. Sid, you want to add to this?
Very helpful example, Don.
Yeah, that's exactly. Pop the screen over. I just remembered, just as you were talking about this, I had done a thing when I was doing my workshops. I had a little thing.
You want to share?
Yeah, let me.
Hold on, I got to get you up there. There you go. There you go, sir. And I'll stop sharing on my end.
All right, give me 1 second because I got to dig it up. I just thought about it while you were talking about that. Where is it?
Hey, Mark.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. It's good to see you.
I'm sending you an email, Don, while he's bringing that up.
Okay.
When I was in Maine with one of the photo shoots I did, I was going through the files last night and I just happened to come across this, and I thought it might be a good example to show, maybe, where the first, it's the same pose. It was one shot then the next shot, but my flash goes to sleep really quick. So the flash didn't fire. So you can tell the difference between the first shot
Oh,
and the
yeah.
flash shot, where I was using the fill flash to just kind of balance with the ambient.
After Sid, I'll share that with us, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, I wish I had a dime for every time my damn 580 went to sleep until someone showed me how I could turn it off so it didn't go to sleep, which was actually more costly because then I'd have to go through batteries that I forgot to turn it off and they drain. But you can turn that off.
Yeah, I need to look up on mine how to turn it off. It's a pain in the ass.
Yep, really is, really is. Did you find it, Sid?
I did. Let me close this and let me shrink this. All right, let me see. Let me kick it over here. Do that and share screen. And I want to share this.
How many of you guys are Mac folks?
I am.
Okay, let me ask you a question. If I got another monitor to hold all my tools and stuff, so I could like put my tools over on one monitor, would it cut down the response of my main monitor? I'm on a 27-inch iMac. Would it?
I don't.
It wouldn't affect my iMac screen, would it?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
It shouldn't.
Yeah, I'm thinking my daughter just got a 27-inch slightly curved Dell monitor, a 27-inch with that, and it's absolutely stunning. She got it for $300.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking, man, I would love to have more real estate up here, like working on InDesign documents and Photoshop, and just get my tools the heck off.
Yeah.
I'm using a laptop, and my external monitor hooks up with an HDMI, and my computer is not nearly as powerful as yours is, and I don't even notice a problem on mine. So with a Mac, you should have like no problem.
Good. All right. Well, thank you. All right. Oh, this looks like something like you were running from the Gestapo or something.
So this is it's basically the same thing that you were going over with. We had done an exercise outside where we set up a light, we blasted the light right on the wall, and because people were having a hard time understanding how shutter speed works with aperture outside and everything.
Sure.
So we just did a simple exercise. So we shot the light at the wall. The only thing that changes in this sequence of images is just our shutter speed. So here we are at 2/50th of a second. We've got these kind of nice dark skies and the clouds kind of pop and everything.
What camera are you using that syncs at 250?
This, I think, was my original 5D. And I think I can't even remember. It's either 250. It's like 250's just pushing it. Usually when I'm working outside, usually I'm right around like 125th or something like that. So yeah, this is at 250th of the second. You know, we've got proper exposure on the wall. Our background is nice and dark. At 125th of a second, things starting to lighten up a little bit. Our exposure is still the same on the wall, but the only thing that's changing is we're just opening our shutter speed up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And a 60th of a second, and a 30th of a second, and 15th. And this is, you know, like now the ambient's starting to sort of fill in.
Well, it's starting to add to the exposure.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you have a very fancy flash meter like my Minolta or the Sekonic, you can actually take readings and it'll tell you how much of your exposure is ambient. Like if you, like with the one I did at a 15th, it would say something like 1/15th a second, but it would say ambient 20%, flash 80%.
That's fancy.
So I know that like 20% of that total exposure on the Apple was starting to be part of the ambient.
Yep.
That's exactly it there.
Yeah, just a simple little exercise. And it's like anybody can do it. Just go set a light up outside on something and then find your proper exposure on whatever your subject is going to be. In this case, it was a wall. And then just, start playing with your ambient, your shutter speed, and just dial it up and down. And you can see right away, the changes and everything.
Yep.
That was it. I just thought I would share that.
Here's a rule of thumb, by the way. Almost any modifier that you use, whether it's a shoot-through umbrella, a bounce umbrella, scrim material, my favorite shower curtain, anything, basically kills 2 stops.
Yeah.
So it just takes 2 stops away. So if you keep that basic thing in mind, and you say, okay, well, this is f8 at 10 feet for the strobe, but I'm going to put it in a shoot-through umbrella, you're at f4.
Yep.
Basically, you might tweak it a little bit, but these days with digital, you're probably close enough for jazz for sure. That's just the way it works. You can purchase one-stop material. Translum. You can buy one-stop translum, and you can get one-stop. Who are those guys that make the big giant scrims? The big scrim company. Really, California Bounce.
Oh, Sunbounce, yeah.
Sunbounce, California Sunbounce. They're very, very pricey. They make a pretty good sized one-stop one too, but you're looking at $600-700 for a rather medium-sized scrim. But other than that, pretty much everything 2 stops. Jim is here. Jim Eisel. Jim is down in Florida, where he is a photographer and he wrestles gators, in which is which was really hard now because they both have to wear masks. It's not as nearly as exciting as it used to be. Jim, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Disregard that messenger message. I just didn't scroll down to see where the link was. So I finally found it and I'm here.
You're a big time strobe user. You use
Yes,
strobes a lot for your work.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot. So down in Florida, you're constantly probably battling some pretty bright sunlight. So you got any tips for that?
Yeah, throw them in the shade. We
Yep.
we just did a shoot 2 days ago for the Midtown Mall, and we had 2 models and a stylist and all that. And this is marketing collateral to get people to go back to the mall again. And wow, we fought through the whole day. We had 3 battery-powered strobes, Dynalights, and it was a constant balancing act to try and keep the ISO as low as possible and the background bright, like exactly what Sid was just doing with the flash and the ambient. Because you can throw a flash in front of Nordstrom, but then it looks like you shot it at 11 o'clock at night because everything else goes dark.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want that. So, yeah, we had fun. 5 or 6 of us dragging a trailer full of strobes all over Midtown Miami the other day.
I had a student ask me once, she said, I have to shoot 250 people. How do I light them? I said, put them in the shade. You can't light 250 people.
Yep.
I mean, theoretically you could, but most of us couldn't afford to light 250 people. It would take
I
The whole
think
production.
Eric's got that 1,000,000-watt broncolor. He can.
Yeah, but even then you're gonna have
Sounds like a cannon going off.
you're still gonna have some real tough problems with the inverse square law. People up front are gonna be real bright and people in the back are gonna be real dark. So 250 people. Hope she charged by the head.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Really cool. Carmen, are you using strobe outside?
Yes.
And you're using speed lights, or you got some little battery strobes?
I use an AD 200.
Yep. Okay.
It depends if I'm in somewhat shade, I'll use a speed light, or I'll bring it in really close. I've got a lot of bounce light on the street, so it's not too bad. And the thing with the ND filter was I'm going out into bright sunlight, but I want to have a really slow shutter speed to blur people.
You a big aperture. You want a big aperture.
Yeah.
And so what
But I
happens?
also, no, but I also want the motion, the dragging, you know, like when they're streaking by.
So really slow aperture. Or long shutter speed.
Yeah, long shutter speed and also the shallow depth of field.
Shallow depth of field.
Somewhat, because
yeah.
I still want to be able to see that there's people there, but I want them also blurry.
So if you, let's say you took an 8-stop neutral density filter, 2.8 in bright sun is what shutter speed?
Oh, I forget.
3200.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 1 over.
Guys, there's only 11 of them. You could memorize it. Only 11 of them. It's 3200, 2.8, 3200. So if you put an 8-stop neutral density filter, you'd go from 3200 to 1600 to 800 to 400 to 200 to 100 to 50th at ISO 100. So you're only going to get to a 50th with an 8-stop neutral density filter if you're in the sun. If we go in the shade, let's take 3 stops off. We go from 50th to 25 to 15 to 1/8 of a second. Now you're going to get blur.
Mm-hmm.
But you're still going to have to get 8 stops of light from your strobe to make up for the 8 stops of neutral density.
Ambient that I killed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have an AD. I have a 600. I have an AD 600.
Yeah, and I'm sure you can do it. Just depends on distance. How far away is your strobe going to be from your subject? I mean, if you're trying to do a subject who's got 15 feet of room on both sides, that may be an issue.
No. It'll be close. You know, I'll have it close. Yeah. But with that, my lady friend, I almost used flash outside almost exclusively with her, just to fill her in, because she's very dark, and I didn't want the ambient, you know that whole ratio thing. I just wanted to just line her up a little bit so she would sparkle.
With dark skin, you have to have a highlight. You've got to put a highlight on dark skin.
Yeah.
You have to put a shadow on light skin. You know, it's just, our light is white. You know, put the same light on Michael Jordan that you put on Carrie Underwood, and it's going to look way different. Yeah. But it's the same.
So with her, I was almost, and then what I learned to do, I was doing it manually, metering, and then I tried one day the TTL, and I was like, oh, this really works.
Are you Canon or Nikon?
Canon.
Do you have Syl Arena's Speedlight handbook?
Mm-mm.
His name is Syl Arena, S-Y-L, Arena, A-R-E-N-A.
Okay.
No better book for Canon speedlights anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
He did. I let him.
No, but I have I'm sorry. I have a Canon camera. I'm using the Godox.
Oh, okay. All
series.
Right. Got it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, his speedlight book is amazing. But if you're using the Godox, it's a different
setup. But I was really kind of happy to have the TTL, and I'd sit there and dial in let me go up another quarter stop or bring it down a quarter stop, and it was like, okay, no magic. It did the thinking for me. I was like in love.
Yeah.
All this time I'd always be like with my meter trying to figure it out. I said, oh, it's a little too bright, a little too dark.
The reason I don't use TTL is because as you move the camera through the subject, put the subject over here, put the subject over here, it's making all these micro adjustments.
Yeah. Oh no, I get that, but and that's why I was manual before, because I wanted everything fixed. Everything the ISO, the shutter speed, everything fixed. But it was like I was moving fast with her, so I said, oh, let me just try the TTL. And
oh yeah, if you're doing a wedding or something where the pictures like you were doing, they don't have to match.
No,
there's no way they have to match.
Yeah,
but if you're
doing
a
product shot or something,
if you're doing an ad, you don't want to have to sit and adjust every one.
Agreed.
Cool.
Agreed.
Very cool. All right.
Did you get that email?
Yeah. Mark, you want to share screen?
Oh yeah, I can share the screen.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, this was the ambient light. I had it at, it was f5, 1/160th of a second, and it was ISO 200. And the sun was actually like on the trees that are behind her. The sun was like from me to her, like in a straight line. So the trees were knocking down the light and everything.
Uh-huh.
So this is what I would have gotten from the ambient light. So what I did is I used my light meter and I metered out what I was getting for ambient light, and then I brought my flash in from the front, and I just have the flash so it's bringing in the same amount of light on the meter as what the background ambient light was doing. So that way I feel like what I got was, you know, she's lit, but I don't feel like it's like showing that she's super flash lit.
Go back to the ambient. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a
Yeah,
little fill.
it just cleans it up a little bit. But
Yeah.
what it does more than light her up, it gives her face, which is semi-reflective, right? Skin is it's not matte, but it's not gloss. Semi-reflective. It gives her skin something to reflect.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing a diffused specular, actually. We're seeing the light source bouncing off of her face. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah,
That
I
works.
used the speed light and the soft lighter.
How big of a soft lighter?
I think it's 43-inch.
Okay, yeah.
And this thing is nice. If it was the first time I had shot with it, so it was a little bit of a learning curve, but she's a friend of mine, so we just goofed off and figured it out. But it was nice, you know. It's soft, like a soft box. It's super portable. It's the size of an umbrella, and then, you know, it's quick and easy to set up. So
How many of you use a meter?
I do.
how many use meter?
I do.
Yeah.
I do,
do.
yeah.
Okay. I wanted to share something with you here.
I mean,
And Don, before you do that, can I just ask Mark a question?
Oh,
on this?
absolutely. Please.
So Mark, just can you say to me one more time what you did with the flash? So you got the exposure right for ambient, then you saw her face a bit dark. Tell me the mechanics of how you set up your exposure on your flash again.
I had the meter. You can still see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the umbrella was right here. The light stand's right here.
Mhm.
And then I don't know how to draw on this thing, so I'm just kind of like the shaft of the umbrella was pointing towards her.
Right.
So the flat white part was like right here, kind of facing towards her.
Mhm.
So I put the meter under her chin,
Mhm.
and on the light meter, you can set it for ambient.
Mhm.
I have the Sekonic,
Dell
I don't know,
358.
the gray one.
Yeah.
So you can set it for ambient and have it so it's pointing behind her, and I got the ambient light reading, and then I put it underneath of her chin, and you can change it to flash.
Mhm.
So instead of, if you hit the button for ambient, it will take the light reading then. And if you set it to flash, it will read when the flash goes off. You just set off the flash manually with the trigger. And then I just dialed the flash power down until it was matching what the ambient light was. So I was getting f5 at 200 ISO.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Mark, when you say the umbrellas or the lights are off to the side, how close in feet are they to her face?
Just out of frame.
Okay.
Yeah, like if general rule of thumb that I've learned, and Don, maybe you can tell me, like if they can reach out and touch it, that's like a good spot. So it's just like out of,
I always say start with it as close as you possibly can
yeah.
without it being in the frame, obviously. Start there, back up if needed. The closer the light is to the subject, the softer the light's going to be, because the the size of the light source in relationship to the subject is what makes the light soft. So he's got a 43-inch light about 18 inches away from her, which means it's pretty much 1-to-1. I mean, it's just lighting her up. She's shooting from like navel up, right?
Yeah, and she's about, honestly, I think she's like 4'10", 4'11". So
yeah,
I was getting.
So, as you move that light back away from her, the light's going to get harder and harder and harder. So it becomes and there's nothing wrong with hard light. So Elizabeth, I don't want you to think, oh, that would be terrible. Oh no, hard light's fine if that's what you want.
Yep.
So you move it back to taste. But if you start far away, I rarely ever see anybody move it closer. Yeah. It's like they put it there and they're done and they just keep moving on. So as you move it away, you have to power it up. You move it away a little more, you have to power it up. I use a string meter. Do you know about my string meter? Who doesn't know about my string meter? Oh, nobody. Everybody knows about my string. God, I must be famous. Awesome. When you're using the string meter, it just makes it so much easier. You know exactly how far and how much to dial up the light, and you can take 6 pictures with the light progressively moving back. The aperture, your exposure stays the same as you're upping the power, moving it back stays the same, but everything else changes. The sharpness of the shadow, the depth of the shadow, whether it wraps around or not. A 43-inch umbrella that close, as Mark had it, is wrapping around her face. If it's 12 feet away, it's not wrapping around her face. And the best way to do it, and also the best way to do it, which is also important to know. So if we have our person here, shoulders, well, that person's got a really big head. There we go. All right, shoulders out to here. And we have our 43-inch light here. If I'm standing here and I look past my subject's face, I'm going to see that umbrella. Am I not? Yep. So if I can see it from over here, that means it's wrapping onto this side of the face, softer light. If, on the other hand, I put my subject here and I put my strobe over here, it's going to be much smaller from me standing here. And now I'm looking out. I can't see that umbrella. It's hidden from her head. If I can't see it, neither can this side of her face see it. So there's no wrap. So where you put the light is really important. It is probably the most important thing that you have to think of when you're setting up your light is, how do I want the light to render? Do I want this strobe to render harsh light or medium light with a sharp or a soft but defined shadow, or do I want to wrap it all the way around? That has to do with the big light source. Here's a rule of thumb. The diameter of your light, if you're at 2.5 times the diameter of your light, you will see that light at its best performance. Let's break that down. I've got a 22-inch softbox. I mean, beauty dish, 22-inch beauty dish. 2 times that's 44. We'll add another level, onto it. 55 inches. At 55 inches away from my subject, it will slightly resemble the look of a beauty dish. At 65 inches away, it's just a light. Just a light. Could be anything. There's no beauty dish involved. It's just a light. A 4x8 softbox, 30 feet away from a subject is hard light. You might as well shoot them with a speed light from 4 feet away because it's just hard lights. It's this giant room with this tiny little light in the middle of it. So that's one of the things I always ask. A question back when I'm asked, well, what size umbrella should I get? And I say, get the appropriate size. Well, should I get a big one or a small one? Well, in relation to what? Because a 3-foot umbrella is not really a very large umbrella to shoot people with. But if you were shooting Cherry Jubilee in a glass, it's fine. Huge. 3 feet, oh my God, it's a giant umbrella compared to that little teeny glass of cherries. So everything is relative. And that's the thing about photography. Everything we do in photography, we have to give up something else. Did you ever notice that? Isn't that great?
It's all a compromise.
All a compromise.
Hey, Don, talking about shooting food, I know Eleanor's watching Andrew's stuff and he's a food shooter. I don't know if maybe looking at some of Judy's stuff and kind of explaining how she's using a flash to create the ambient light and then the strobe to create the shadows might help her as well.
Yeah. Let's go up to Judy's site real quick.
And then also to add to Mark's, with food, we're wanting to show texture, right? So we don't want it as soft necessarily all the time as we would for portraiture.
No,
Right?
no, I don't. There's no rules.
I know there's no rules, but let's just say you're shooting a flaky pastry or something.
Mm-hmm.
We most likely want to show the shadow side of each flake. We want to see that contrast.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a beautiful soft light, which is the way Andrew shoots. It's amazing. He shoots at a big soft light, and he gets texture. It's just fascinating to see.
Well, it depends on what he's putting around it. If you want to add texture, you have to look at the subject. For instance, if you're shooting, let's say you're shooting a cupcake, okay? Icing on the cupcake. If this icing is glossy, you're going to want to put a black card over here so that the glossy icing reflects black, giving you contrast. If it's a cup full of Brussels sprouts, right? You may have to put a white card over here to get the dark. Brussels sprouts are just going to go dark because they're not going to reflect anything. There's no shininess to them. So you might have to put a white card there to force some reflection on those Brussels sprouts.
He uses a black background almost entirely, which may yield the kind of result you're talking about.
Okay, I want to make sure we're on the same page. If this is the item and this is the camera, this is a background, that's a surface. Are you talking about a background or a surface?
Background.
Okay.
Yeah, he likes to have a dark background with a bright color that's bright. So he's got the color contrast and then the dark and brightness contrast.
He even does it with browns too, like gravies and things like that. It's pretty versatile. I mean, he's been working on this for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So
just understand.
He has a lot of range there.
Just understand, and this is not a negative thing. Understand, Scrivani shoots the same damn picture every day.
That's true.
Light here, card over here. Judy has to shoot different shit every day. So we'll look at her stuff real quick. Where is her? Boom, boom, boom. Go to Savory. All right, here's some stuff right here. Let me share the screen. So what Judy is doing is she's adding a little bit of shadow here. So we've got you see the shadow that she's adding to the shot here. What she's doing there is getting the ambient from her softbox, which you can see in the shiny turkey. You can see the big softbox, the big, beautiful, soft lighting all the way through here. and then she takes a little speed light and she walks around the set and
Right.
she just fires the speed light at different powers and different distances. The farther away she gets, the sharper the edge. The closer she gets with it, the softer the edge. And what she's doing is trying to find what she wants, that look that she wants. Let's see if we can find another one that's got. Yeah, now you can't really see the effects of the speed light unless you look very close. The shot is lit from where?
Above.
Above. It's lit from, imagine the softbox would be, right about there. She's a large box, right about there. How can we tell? Because we've got reflection here, we've got reflection here, we've got reflection in here, all of this stuff. She's taking a speed light from this corner up. See the shadow?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
See the hot right here? Just a little bit hotter. How much hotter? Probably a third of a stop. I doubt a half a stop, but look, the shadow's coming up here, This is what the art directors, look what she's doing. This is what the art directors are really loving these days, is photographers are getting out of that, like only going to shoot soft light and getting a little punch. She's got one over here. She's got a light coming over from over here. Do you see it? Boom, boom, and it's coming this way and giving a little shadow there and a little shadow there. So, what are these? Well, they could be tiny soft boxes, tiny beauty dishes, a speed light with tracing paper typed on it or taped on it, just a plain speed light, everything. Whatever you want to experiment with is really great. But these soft boxes are turned way down. Yeah.
When you see shadows like going in different directions in one picture, does that throw you off, or do you have to be really subtle about it? Or I didn't really notice it until you pointed it out in that photo, but sometimes if I do a photo and the shadows are going in different ways, my urge is to fix it and make them all go in the same direction.
Yeah, and I understand that. I totally understand that urge, but having shadows run in different directions could be a stylistic thing for you, Elizabeth. The question is, do you like it? Now, if you change it because you don't like it, that's fine. But I would say don't change it because you're afraid someone else might not like it. That's what we have to stay away from. And now this is one of Judy's earliest experiments where she's really getting the glassware to pop back in here. And this is where she had a conversation with a big-time art buyer for a very big-time ad agency who said, "We are on fire for your work. We want this. We want more photographers shooting strobes and doing something different with the shadows." Now, I'm going to quickly go through here because she has some, just like you were talking about, Elizabeth. She's got some in here with multiple.
How long an exposure does she have when she shoots, when she's walking around?
How long of an exposure?
Yeah, how much time?
Probably 1/25. She's not blending ambient or anything. She's not doing anything like that. Oh, come on.
So are these composited in
No.
Photoshop?
No, not composite at all. She does a little bit of focus stacking now and then. Here we go. Elizabeth, do you see it? We've
Okay.
got shadows coming this way, and we've got shadows going that way.
Oh, yeah.
And notice that notice this hot line of light here coming in. Look at what it's doing. It's cutting off the shadow from this ginger root. It's cutting off this shadow. This is actually light coming through a cookie, a set of flags. So she's set up one strobe to come this way and do all of these. And then she's got I'll draw it. She's got a card set up here, black card with a little thing through it, and she's shining a strobe through that, and that's why you're getting that light right there coming this way, highlighting this particular container and making it the star.
And Don, when you say that Judy walks around the set firing off the flash, I presume then she gets multiple exposures, and if she's not blending them, then
No, she's just firing her camera remotely and holding the flash.
Okay.
So she'll take, when I was talking to her about it, Mark, were you on that call?
No, that was with the other class, the advanced one.
Well, we're gonna make that public. Would you remind me, Mark, please?
Yep.
We'll make that for everybody. When I asked her about it, I thought she had this like cool method. I thought she was going to go into this how she does it thing, right? And she said, no, I just walk around and take a bunch of pictures. I'm like, okay, well, I guess that works too,
So she shoots a series, and then she's picking what she figures is the best one out of those 12 or 24 shots.
Okay, got
Absolutely. So like for this one here, I don't know, maybe she shot 10, maybe she shot 50.
Yeah.
But she'll put the light up high, she'll bring it down, she'll set it right on the ground, right on the surface that she's shooting on. She'll put it through soft light or whatever. But remember, she's going to do most of that experimenting with the first shot of the series, right? So if she's doing 15 burger shots, she's not going to give to the art director 15 totally different lit shots. She's going to experiment with one. So if this is for a salad company, for instance, this one that's in front of us, if that was for a salad company and she had to do 6 more, they would all be the ones she chose. She'd do that. She'd keep repeating that one.
Yep.
Consistency is very important.
Yep.
Okay, so just to recap then, she sets up her lights with the big softbox or whatever and gets the exposure set just fine. And as a standalone, that image would be perfect.
Absolutely. Yep.
But in order to create the shadows, which is what is in demand for her work, she walks around and pops some flashes, and then out of those series, chooses the one she prefers and goes with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Guess how she found out that she liked doing it?
Experimental.
My mistake.
Taking my food class.
Hey, Don.
I think it's assignment 6, I think, where we do with or maybe it was a still life class. It's one of them. We do the most important part of the shot is the shadow, not the subject. In other words, let's shoot like a fork, but what we see is the shadow of the fork rather than the fork itself. And that's where she got the idea of playing with the speed lights. I've asked her, hinted several times at some sort of commission, but
Hey, Don.
yeah.
When Judy's doing that, she's walking around her set with that strobe, or with the speed light. Is she also taking, jotting down notes on how far she was from the subject with that particular shot?
Yes. Yeah.
She's
got to remember where these are. So remember, she's got a monitor in her hand. She's got a Cam Ranger or whatever in her hand, and she's shooting them. So when she sees one she likes, she makes a notation. She's not going to bother notating all the bad ones. She sees what she's getting right then. She's not waiting to go back over to, or is she running back over to look at the back of the camera? She's got it set up where she can see that stuff happening. And then she makes then she has to make some pretty careful notations. Speed light is on this setting, this is zoom, et cetera, 5 feet away, so she can repeat it again and again and again. But you notice how she'll just add just a little bit. Anyway, thought you'd like that. Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
Yes, Mark, that was very helpful. Thank you.
I wanted to show people shooters something real quick. I want you to try if you're a people shooter. This is something I used to do in the workshops. It's one of my favorite ways to light. You put your subject in the shadow, all in the shadow. These are 4x8 foam cores. I usually reinforce them on the edges with wood. Whether you make the wood black or white would be up to you. But you don't want to just have foam core because they just get all beat to hell. I mean, they get busted and wrinkled and crap. But I love this because most of the time, if you talk to a photographer, they will tell you that their foam core has to be in the sun to, quote, bounce the light. No, that's not true. Your foam core has to be there to provide a smooth reflection for your model, for your subject. Remember, I'm subject-centric lighting. I'm light from the subject out. If the subject is standing there and behind me is a dark red brick wall and green grass on the ground, my subject is going to reflect dark red wall, green grass. So I bring in a big white source, 8 by 8 feet. I put it at an angle like this so that I don't know if you can hear, let me annotate it. You can see I've got it at an angle so I get a little bit of shoulder light coming back, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
One foam core, I get a little bit of side all the way around to the front. That's really great. Now my subject, if my subject was standing facing that way, then I would be what's called short lighting them. You know, they'd be lit on the shadow side. But if I turn them into it a little bit, just a little bit, 2 inches, they get all this light. It's just absolutely glorious. Now, there is sunlight out here, ambient sunlight. That ambient sunlight is being picked up in the image. So what you want to do, what my favorite setting, you can do anything you want, I should say. You can do anything you want, but my favorite setting was to get the ambient light about 5.6 at 1/60th on my subject. So if I had taken a 5.6 at a 60th of a second, we're talking ISO 100. I should say that whenever I'm talking ISO 100. I rarely use anything else. So that's my exposure. I make my flash hitting this card 6.3. So I put my flash meter up to the face and I get 6.3 off the face. Or, let's say 6.3 or 7.1. 8 is a full stop brighter, and it's going to look flash lit. That's okay if that's what you want. It's fine. But if I get this at 6.3, there should be a little point there. If I get this at 6.3, I just get the most beautiful headshot lighting you'll ever see. Because this ambient light back here, this guy back here is giving me all the shoulder and soft hair light I could ever want.
Yep.
It's just gorgeous. The other way that I do it is I build my cards, and then I cut a hole right down. Here's where the hinges are. Here, 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 and here, and I cut a hole in the V part of the card, and I shoot from behind the hole. I'm shooting through the cards at my subject, and then with a speed light, I'll either light this side, the center, or this side, depending on the subject. Or maybe I'll put 2 speed lights back there and light both of these. And again, all I'm doing is 6.3. That's all I'm doing. A third of a stop. If you do this just in natural light, ambient light, it'll blow you away. When you put your subject there, you're going to go, wait a minute, I thought I had to have sunlight on my fill cards. No, you don't. Your fill cards are working as the thing that your subject's reflecting. You'll just love it, guys. Yes.
And you could use this for a product too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that's what Andrew does. He just puts a silk.
Absolutely. I've used this same setup here for food.
Yeah. And Don, how did you make your 8x8s?
I take I take the 8x8. I put molding. You go to Home Depot and you get molding. It's for, like countertops and stuff. It's usually a hardwood, which is what you want, Eleanor. Don't get the little soft pine because it'll warp. So it's not cheap wood, but you're only getting that much of it. And then I frame it with staples and glue. I make a frame, and then where the two frames come together, I put a hinge there. So it folds up to 8x8. It folds up to 4x8. It folds in on itself.
So the molding you're buying is white already. You don't have to paint it.
No, it's wood. It's usually wood colored. I guess you probably can get white. I've never done that. I've actually never painted it either. I've used white gaffer's tape. I just put a strip of white gaffer's tape over the top of it. Just gave me a little more strength, gave me a little more grip ability. It also, I discovered, gets dirty kind of, fairly quickly. So yeah, put another strip of white.
But Don, what is the white material in this setup?
Oh, in here?
Yes.
Foam core.
So you put the foam core inside this frame that you build.
I build the frame around the foam core. Yeah.
Okay.
How do you attach the foam core to the frame?
Staples and glue.
That's interesting. You should make a video on that, Don, because foam core is not that big, right? You must have tons of panels.
Foam core, if you buy a sheet of foam core, it's 4 foot by 8 feet.
Where do you buy that? I've been trying to find that.
Sign stores.
Where?
Sign stores. That would be my very first place to go is sign stores. Michael's sells it, but in Michael's world, foam core is made out of platinum or something. I mean, they want
yeah,
$45 a sheet or something for it.
Yeah.
But sign stores, anywhere where they make signs, they're gonna have foam core. Yep.
Wow.
And framing stores sometimes too.
Because I was going to,
framers, yeah.
The sheets of insulation, somebody was saying, buy that and paint it black, paint it white. And I thought, I'm not a DIY girl. This.
No. This was, by the way, this was not my design. There was a photographer way back in the day. All I can remember about the guy is he had this gigantic mullet.
Is it Dean Collins?
No, it wasn't Dean. Dean had a mullet, but it wasn't Dean. Wait a minute. Maybe it was one of Dean's companies, but he made these things, and they were heavy duty with white on one side and silver on the other. But they were, back in the day, they were like $350 a piece. And I was like, nah. So I get the foam core. And if you wanted to do something, Eleanor, that would be even more elegant, you can buy foam core that's black on one side and white on the other.
Don, I challenge you to find out where I can buy that, because I have been looking.
Okay.
But I'm going to go to the sign store. I've Googled sign store near me, and maybe they actually have it. But...
Call them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eleanor?
Let me ask you, do you have any other friends who are photographers?
Near me, no.
Okay, because what we used to do is we'd get a case of it, which was 12 sheets, and we'd all, lump our money in and buy 12 sheets and then take 3 each or whatever.
Right.
But I'll
Eleanor?
find some for you.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hey, you can buy them pre-made online, and I have bought them, but I can tell you that the one that you make for yourself will last much longer, and the materials will be better, and it'll be more durable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that one online. It's expensive, about $300, and it folds down.
Oh, the other thing, Eleanor, to everyone, the other thing I did, when I had to get rid of my van. I had a van. We called it the church van. I bought the cheapest white van I could find. So it only had like 2 seats in it, and it was empty in the back, and it was white, and it had those tiny little hubcaps, so it didn't even have a full hubcap. We called it the church van. I bought it white because I could use it as a fill cart, and I did on many occasions. But when I got a different vehicle, I didn't have that much room in the back, so I actually cut these in half, Eleanor. I cut it. I made 2 4x4s with the strips around, but but I didn't put the strips here, and I put lockings on devices on both sides. So I could take them, put them together, lock the things on the sides, lock them together, and they would stand up, but they didn't hinge here. They hinged, they just went together there. I couldn't do the same thing and hinge it. I couldn't figure out how to make portable hinges. I'm sure they make them, but I wasn't that good at DIY at all. And then I had 4 of those, and I would just set them up on stands. Just put a stand over here, clamp it to a stand there that goes down, and like that, and you've got your light, your 8x8. That's one of the things that gets me is, and I know you've noticed it too, Sid, is a lot of people will say, I'm a natural light photographer, and to them that means they go out with a camera and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I used to carry a van full of crap to be a natural light photographer.
Yeah. My whole area is filled with that. But I mean, that's a good thing about it is, whatever style they like to shoot in.
Sure. If it works for them, that's great.
Yeah. But foam core is your best friend when it comes to foam core and gaff tape and black paint.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Well, that was a little presentation. Ed, Sid, you want to add anything?
I think you covered just about everything. I don't think anything's missing.
Thank you for that. I love that demo with the wall. That was cool.
When I was, I haven't done a workshop in so long, but one of the things when I was teaching people was I needed visual aids because like we do this refresher at the beginning and I don't, talk about how your aperture affects when you're using off-camera flash, and like if you're just barking at them, like they just gloss over and they don't know what the hell you're talking about. So it's like, okay, well here's a series of images we just took. I literally went outside on the side of the building and I just shot my flash at the wall. Only thing we're changing is just our shutter speed. That's all we're going to change. So everything else is the same. Our ISO and our flash to subject distance and our aperture and blah, 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 blah. And you start to see people that are like, oh, okay, this makes sense. So my shutter speed's only controlling the light that's not coming out of the flash. It's just all this extraneous light that we're just slowly letting it come in if we want. So that was just how I structured everything. I wanted visuals so that people could understand what was going on. And that's just how it makes sense. But it's funny that everything I do is sort of the opposite of how you do it. Like when I'm setting up, first thing I'm concerned about is the light that's falling on my subject. And then I worry about my ambient light afterwards.
Yeah, I'm absolutely the other side.
We're kind of the odd couple when it comes to that. So that's kind of cool.
First, I find my ambient so I know exactly what that's going to look like because I can't change it.
Right.
It's the ambient. And then I do it. So, yeah, well, 2 photographers do good work and do it totally different ways. So
yes,
that's got to let you know that whichever way you're doing it and it works for you, keep doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing I like that when we were looking at the plates with the shadows and everything, there's no proper way to do that. Like that works for that photographer. And it's about playing. And I like the fact that, she uses a softbox overhead and she gets her main exposure. And then she goes around, she's playing and she's just like, well, what happens if we shoot it from this angle and this angle? And you just see it as you're shooting it.
Yeah. And as you can imagine, those strobes or those little speed lights are so low in power.
Yeah.
They're really not goosing up the salad much at all.
Yeah.
They're just throwing the shadow.
So I like the idea that even though it's controlled, there's still a little bit of something out in the ether. Yeah, there's a little bit of experimenting and not quite knowing just yet. But then when you get to it, you're like, there it is. There's the whole package. So, yeah.
Well, everybody, have a great week. Sid, thank you. We got to formalize this, Sid. I got to chat with you next week.
Okay.
Don,
me to chat. It's going to be good for you.
Yeah. What's up, Bob?
I just got a beginner's question.
Bob.
Talked about the light source being relative to the subject, and I understand all that, but I've no experience with lighting. Does your light source relative to the size of your softbox, for instance, is there a maximum you can go with a basic flash? I have the Godox 8200, what would be the maximum softbox I could use with that?
You opened up a can of worms. You just had to go there, didn't you, Bob?
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Let me see.
Is there?
If you're asking, can you use a small light like that in a large light source? You can.
That's correct.
Let me see if I have here.
Especially if it's got a double baffle, because if you got a baffle and then the edge of the softbox, it's going to spread the light around even more.
Yeah.
So here's the, I'm going to go back to my sketchbook. I had them up here and now I don't know where they are. Oh, darn it. Okay, hold on. Let me get back here to the sketching. Once had a, sorry, that's not what I wanted to share. I wanted to share that. Once had a website. There used to be this thing called Strobus. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Okay. Well, Strobus had a lot of people who on there who really didn't know which way which was up, but felt that because they were Strobus, they knew everything. And their thing was you could not use a 60-inch umbrella, which was news to me because I use a 60-inch umbrella all the time with my speed lights.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at your umbrella. Here's your, and we're going to do bounce, okay? Bob, bounce, not shoot through.
Right.
So let's say this is your umbrella and you put a, well, that's not quite right either. Let's make it more like that. So it's deep and you put your speed light right here, shining that way into your umbrella, okay? If you put it here, it lights up this much of your umbrella. Even if you put it on, well, I'm going to zoom out to 24. I don't care. It didn't have any room to travel yet. It's going to get right there. So it makes a really hot spot right there. And then it folds all the way over. And pretty soon over here, it's not lighting anything up. But they make a thing called a stoffen. And when you put the stoffen on top of your speed light, it now, this is your speed light down here, it now puts light out this way, this way, that way, and that way. So when you put the stoffen down here, it now lights up all of your umbrella. And yes, you can shoot a 60-inch umbrella with a speed light because it's doing that. See, a regular umbrella, when you put the flash head in it, you usually have the flash head so it's inside the edges of the umbrella. If it sticks out from the umbrella, it's putting light up everywhere, right? It's putting light up on the ceiling and everything else can be a problem. So you get the flash head inside the umbrella. That's what we're doing over here with the stoffen. Stoffen kills.
With the strobes is you've usually got a modeling light so you can see.
Mm-hmm.
Is the stoffen, oh,
I'm sorry, what's that?
Thanks, Don. Thanks, Mark. Sid?
Yeah. And you can buy Stoffen brand, or Stoffen is the brand, but these little diffusers, you can find them on eBay and all kinds of places. Generally, they kill -2 stops.
Yep.
So you're going to have to do that.
Talking about one like this, Don?
Yeah, that's it.
Yep, that's over there.
Yeah, that comes with the speed lights a lot of times now.
Yeah.
You get a Godox and it comes with it. You just
Yeah, if you get Godox, it comes with it. If you get Neewer, it comes with it. Yep.
And it's, I mean, this is a 60-inch Westcott Apollo something or other. It's like a giant window light thing. It's like a camping tent basically. And the cool thing about this is you aim the flash inside and it has like a silver coating, so it bounces the light all around and everything. But I've used like a little Canon 580 and a Sunpack 120J in this for 1 to 2 people, and I've done good. Because I'm using small flashes, for me, it kind of dictates the time of day. Like sticking in a big softbox like this, I can't run outside at like noontime and try to, shoot 2 people at noonday sun. So I stick them in shade, or I'll wait till later in the day. But it's still, I mean, light is light. So it just gives you this gorgeous giant window light sort of look to it.
Let me give you a secret to it. You've got your flash and you've got on your flash, you've got this thing, the zoom, right?
Mhm.
Where you can zoom your flash. Did you know if your zoom is all the way out at, I think Canons are 135, Nikons are 200 millimeters? Guess what? Plus one stop. Plus one stop at the same distance, plus one stop. Now, conversely, if you squeeze them all the way back to wide angle 24 millimeters, minus one stop. So we're going to put Rob, you with me?
I am.
We're going to increase the power of our strobe just by zooming it. Well, that means we're going to have a tighter, where it's even going to be narrower in here. Nope, we're going to put a Stofan on it. Because once that light hits the Stofan is now the light.
Did you see that, Bob?
Yes, I did. Thanks, Mark.
And when that becomes the light, now you've gained one stop, but your light source is the same. It's just going to come out. So while the Stofan kills one or kills two, you're able to bring it back one stop just by zooming your strobe out.
Oh, that's stupid
Something
math.
else I'll do, Bob, is I'll take a picture of the umbrella when my flash is going off so you can check your spread of light. If you take a picture of the umbrella and you see you're only getting a little spot, you can adjust your light a little bit too. And also if it's completely white all the way to the edges, you may be back too far and push it in some and kind of find that sweet spot.
Yep.
Thank
All
you.
right, folks. Any other questions? All right, really a blast. Sid, I will contact
No, I
you.
liked that last tip. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'll contact you on Monday. If you don't hear from me by Monday, my time noon, which is, I don't know, midnight for you. My time noon is what, 4 for you?
Yes.
If you don't hear from me by 4, ping me.
Okay.
Okay? Because I'm redoing my office and I'm redoing my garage at the same damn time.
That's the way to do it.
Ugh.
It's motivation is what that is.
Yes, it's also a mild form of insanity.
That's, when I was in a 4-story brick building on a top floor that would get to like 115 degrees, it was always the stupidest, hottest day of the summer when I'm like, I think I'm going to rearrange the entire studio. That's what I'm going to do it. And every time my wife would just be like, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you doing this right now? And I'm just like, I don't know, motivation, got to do it right now.
Because it just feels right.
Now is the time.
Now is the time. It's here.
And so I would be in the studio just sweating my ass off trying to move stuff around. So.
All right, folks, everybody have a great one. Thanks for coming out, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Be safe.
Bye.